The story of the 2014-15 California Vulcans season started with high expectations. A group of experienced girls looked to avenge missing the NCAA regional last season. A tradition of winning has been enriched in the program led by their head coach, Jess Strom. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and that journey began on a cold November night. It is basketball season once again at Cal U, and CUTV Sports presents the California Vulcans Women Basketball PSAC opener against the Mercyhurst Lakers from the Convocation Center. Coming into the game, the Vulcans already had 2 non-league wins in their pocket, and the Vulcans overcame a 9-point first-half deficit against the Lakers and took the PSAC home opener thanks to the play of their heart and soul of the team, Caitlin Protz. Protz recites, puts Clocker on the floor and puts up a shot! My goodness! A bigger test stood the next game against the defending PSAC champion Edinburgh Fighting Scots squad. The Scots looked to avenge a disastrous loss to Cal from the last season on their own home court. Early on, the newest Vulcan, Lana Doran, set the tone by agitating Edinburgh with her aggressive play. It was deja vu again as Cal silenced any doubters with a resounding win over the Fighting Scots and sent a message to the entire PSAC. Building off their impressive win at Edinburgh, California dropped the non-league game to Findlay of Ohio over Thanksgiving break, but tore through their final 2 PSAC West games of 2014 with wins against UPJ at home and Clarion on the road. The Vulcans lost just 1 game at Bloomsburg during PSAC East crossover play and hung around inside the top 25 rankings. When PSAC West action started up again, the Vulcans welcomed in the only unbeaten team left in the PSAC, the IUP Crimson Hawks. This titanic matchup would decide early control of the PSAC West, and early on it looked like IUP was going to run Cal right out of their own gym.
We saw Stoner beat the double team.
Fairman drives inside, the nice move around Mickey Glenn, and California's going to have to call the timeout as the Crimson Hawks.
The lead seemed insurmountable considering the team IUP was, but the Vulcans clawed back to take the lead in the second half and survived a crazy end of regulation sequence to force overtime. In overtime, Cal unleashed senior Emma Mahadi and went perfect at the free throw stripe to knock off IUP. With first place in California's favor, they traveled a week later up the road to Greensburg to face off against Seton Hill. The Vulcans earned a hard-fought comeback win against the pesky Griffin squad, but little did they know they would face their greatest challenge all season the next day.
Today, the California University community honors the life and memory of Shanice Clark, senior forward for the California University women's basketball team. Shanice played 1 season for the Vulcans before redshirting this current season after transferring from Santa Fe Community College in Florida. Our thoughts and prayers are with Shanice's family, friends, and loved ones.
Most teams would crumble after the loss of a teammate like Shanice, but this team of fighters only used this as motivation to carry on and succeed. A game after the tragedy, Cal lost again in Erie, but turned around and honored Shanice in the first game back at the Convocation Center.
It's going to be an 11-point win for the Vulcans, 74-63. The emotions, Sierra Barrett, Lana Doran hugging at court, all 5 players huddling
Wonderful
up.
scene.
A great scene
That's
here.
wonderful. That is what sport's about right there. After the emotional win over the Rock, California focused in and started playing their best basketball of the season. They annihilated Mercyhurst on their own court and followed that up with yet another thrashing of the Fighting Scots. A rematch with IUP brought talks of revenge, but only came the Crimson Hawks' worst loss at the KCAC in its history.
Mahadi goes underneath to Kukul. Layup in and good, 26-9.
Emma Mahadi just finding Kuko. Kuko off a nice start. Hey, Caitlin, did you just see what happened?
No, I didn't. I was looking over at you, Matt.
No, I didn't see that. Caitlin Protz must have just stole the inbound and put it in. In the stretch, Cal knocked out last place Clarion at home and added another comeback win, this time against UPJ on the road. The final home games of the regular season first saw the Seton Hill Griffins return to Cal, and it looked like the upstart Griffins would take advantage of a mostly ill Vulcan squad. But as they had done all season, despite the illness, California came back and turned a deficit into another blowout win. But the big showdown came 3 days later on Osoe Senior Day against Gannon. Gannon came into the matchup winners of 6 straight against Cal. And after a back-and-forth contest, it looked like it would be clear Gannon would easily get that 7th straight win over California. but the gritty Vulcans came back from 9 points down late to force overtime. But this time the extra session was not fortunate for the Vulcans as Gannon spoiled the party with a 69-63 win. It was again another gut-wrenching loss against the Golden Knights. The Vulcans still grabbed the first-round bye with a road win against Slippery Rock in the regular season finale. But for a chance at a PSAC championship, the Vulcans had to go again through the Gannon Golden Knights in the second round of the PSAC playoffs. A venue change brought a louder atmosphere to Hamer Hall, but at first it looked like Gannon was ready to silence the Vulcans again. Another deficit? No problems. California came back from down 10-2 and stood only down 1 at halftime. But the second half belonged to the Vulcans. Using a suffocating defense and fired up crowd, Cal finally slayed the ghosts of Gannon past and moved on to the PSAC semifinals. A trip to Bloomsburg for the Vulcans saw California dominate the host Bloomsburg Huskies in the PSAC semifinals and grinded out a win over Westchester to score the school's first PSAC championship since 2006. But this was only the beginning, as with the successful trip in Bloomsburg, the Vulcans gained rights to host the NCAA Atlantic Regional Tournament as the 1 seed. California opened the tournament with a convincing win over the Virginia State Trojans, and then a hard-fought win against the high-powered West Liberty squad to set up a rematch from a week earlier in the regional final against Bloomsburg. Hamer Hall was alive and ready for a chance at an Elite Eight appearance. Bloomsburg jumped out to a 20-9 lead, but as most scripts went this season, California fought back yet again to tie it at halftime. The second half saw both teams not take advantage of the other's miscues, as 40 minutes was not enough to decide a trip to South Dakota. After falling behind 4 in overtime, Cal stormed back and set up a final possession that would go down for the ages at Cal U.
2 seconds off the clock and now forces Bloomsburg to go farther down the court.
Spot here. California's inbound defense has been great all season. They'll back off for Simmons here, but they got to guard her. Simmons for a tie. No good. Up in the air. Glenn's got the inbounds. She throws it away. The California Vulcans are headed to South Dakota. And the fans are on the court. The fans are on the court. Cody, can you believe it?
Elite Eight. Hello, California Vulcans.
Despite everything, these band of warriors brought it all together to win the Atlantic Regional Championship and make the Elite Eight. The storybook season made it to Sioux Falls, and California scored an overtime win against Nova Southeastern in the Elite Eight, Emporia State in the Final Four, and completed the dream season with a dominant win over Cal Baptist in the national championship game to make dreams come true for a team and a fan base that has been through so much. No one will ever forget these ladies at Cal. This is a story that has begun to work its way around the country, and these Vulcan women sit at the top of the Division II Women's Basketball Summit. One thing is certain, this championship, this dream, and this season was all done for 44.